Trump supporter Matt Schlapp is with us now on the Fox News deck. He's chairman of the American Conservative Union, a former political director for George W. Bush, and has been watching this thing closely.
Wow.
Democrats thought they had Florida. As it turns out, Republicans vote on Election Day, and they're making it up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's all this talk about the early vote and everything that happens with it. And the fact is, until all the ingredients are in the bowl, you don't know how it's going to turn out. And the fact is this, which is a lot of what's still to come in Florida, is very positive for Trump. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Florida.
It's very positive for Trump. The one downside would probably be Broward County.
That's right.
Though Broward County has an older population that's lived there for a very long time, there's also the population that's west of Interstate 95.
That's right.
The more counties, the big golf communities.
You know this.
Well, I do. They vote, and they vote Republican,
That's
and
right.
they normally vote day of. So your Hispanics and your older population are going to be a balance today.
That's exactly right. And the other thing about Florida is you always have to look at the recount question, right? And right now it looks tight enough where we could be in that position, which makes tonight very interesting.
If the difference is less than half of 1%, half of 1% of the total vote, the first thing they do is an automatic machine recount,
right.
which is, it just sort of happens. Anything after that, if they find a difference. But first of all, you got to talk about where we are. He's crushing Mitt Romney's numbers in rural Florida.
That's right.
How did they do that?
Look, as Republicans think about it, we haven't won a battleground state in 12 years. And the fact that Donald Trump is actually competitive in all these states you've been talking about tells you that this race is a whole different race for Republicans. Look, we're used to winning the ruby red states, and we're used to losing these other ones close. If we can start picking these up tonight as we move west, this is incredibly good news. And how did he do it in the rural communities? You know it. He connected with the ordinary guy and gal out there who feels like this country is just on the wrong track and they don't feel like they're getting ahead economically.
She was relying, and her team, on political science. Lay the table.
That's right.
Get your ground game in there. Get them to the polls. All of that happened.
That's right.
He was relying on his rallies. He was relying on a movement. He believed there was really a movement. And a lot of the smarty pants on all the big networks, all the pundits said, a movement doesn't win an election, a ground game does. They may turn out to be right, but not yet.
She has the mechanics. He has people's hearts. And this enthusiasm gap in these polls, people say, well, what does it matter if you're enthusiastic for your candidate or not? I'll tell you what it matters. If you're enthusiastic for your candidate, come hell or high water, you're at those polls. You don't care so much about your candidate. If something comes up that day, maybe you don't vote. And what it looks like is they didn't hit their numbers on the Clinton side.
North Carolina is the state that makes it impossible for anyone if Hillary Clinton wins it. In North Carolina, it's the battle of the cities and the
That's right.
and the rural areas. Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, Raleigh-Durham area.
That's right.
Versus the more rural North Carolina where the population level is high. There's a balance there.
That's right. And there's still a lot of the rural areas still to come in. My understanding is that there's still a Durham County that's still to come in.
It is.
Wake County is in. So, it's a little bit mixed, but I think on par, I think there's more rural counties that could come in that would be good for both Donald Trump and Richard Burr, a very important Senate seat there.
Ohio, Cuyahoga County. Ohio is obviously you got to have it if you're a Republican trying to get through to the presidency. Large pushes made there at the end, and so many of us wondered why. What are you doing in Cleveland?
Right.
Now we know African-American turnout is low.
He's going to win Ohio. And this is the big news. This is my opinion. This doesn't have to be Fox News.
Desk yet.
My opinion from my contacts is that Trump looks very stout in Ohio.
And to what do they attribute that? Same thing?
Yeah, look, in Ohio, it's the same kind of issue, which is they've seen their energy jobs at stake, they've seen their manufacturing jobs flee, and they don't know where to turn, and Trump is giving them a lifeline.
And the lifeline it is, it's very much up for grabs tonight. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me here,
We're
Schlapp.
about to